Hello and welcome to our astrological vibrations for Saturday, June 24th, 2017 by Gaia Blooming. I am Mimi, and our energy mantra for today is being in nurturing mode is synonymous with expansion mode. And today, we're going to have one of those, kind of challenging days that I spoke about. We actually have multiple planets making multiple connections today. So I wanted to go through the planets, these planets that are making these multiple connections, and just remind us what these planets bring. So the first and most social planet, we'll say that, today is the moon. The moon in Cancer is actually making 6 connections through the day. Now, we are still working with new moon energy. Moon energy is interesting. I love the moon. I love the moon in my chart. I love the moon in the sky. I love lunar energy. That being said, just like anything, lunar energy can be tough, especially depending on the connections that it's making. Lunar energy connects us more to our yin energy, to the receptive, to the feeling energy. And that's why at times it can be like, yay! And at other times it can be like, ooh, this is hard. Moon in Cancer specifically is very feeling oriented as the moon rules Cancer. So it's like double whammy feelings. And even though the moon now begins its waxing phase, it still is in dark moon energy. So as it goes through and making these connections, you may find yourself like kind of on a roller coaster of emotions depending on the connection that's being made. Stay with it. Nurturing your being will help bring you expansion. Whether the feeling in your being at this time is one of sadness or if it's one of happiness, nurturing it, moving with it, allowing it to process, because that's what the moon does. It helps us process these things. That is going to be ultimately supportive for you. We also have Pluto making 2 connections today. So Pluto again, Pluto to me is like ultimately the planet that takes us into our power. But Pluto is the lightest light and the darkest dark. So sometimes during Pluto transits, we get to experience the gamut of both. And truly, to be in our full power, you cannot avoid either side. You cannot avoid your light and be in your full power. You cannot deny your shadow and be in your full power. So these Pluto connections are going to take us through that today. We also have Mars making 2 connections today. Mars energy. Mars is like action. Mars is also passion and aggression. So, as Mars moves through, as we want to take our action, noticing what our motivation is, noticing where the power, where the instigation or the inspiration is coming from within us as we take flight, so to speak, or as we take swim, maybe take to swimming as it's in Cancer, so more likely we're swimming with Mars right now. But as we do that, notice where you're coming from and notice what's drawing you right now. Is it the passion or is it the aggression? And I'm going to go through and tell you what these connections are, but I wanted to remind you of what these planetary energies are so you have some idea of what the dominant energies are that are taking us for this roller coaster, or we're riding the waves. We are surfing today. We are surfing for sure, and there is a storm out there, so some of these waves are big. The final planet that's making several connections is Venus. Now, Venus energy, Venus is love, it's beauty, it's harmony, it's justice. Venus wants peace. Venus can relate to relationships, but most importantly, the relationship that we have with ourselves. Venus right now is actually hanging out in Taurus, which Venus in part co-rules Taurus. So Venus is very at home in and through this energy. So that's going to be one of your keys for surfing today, for swimming through these waves, is coming back into the self-love energy, checking in with yourself. Are your needs being met? Are you taking care of yourself? Venus in Taurus has kind of a sensual feel to it. So really like making sure like your 5 basic senses are satisfied may help you move through this, but we're going to get a little bit more into that. Okay, so let's get into the moon transits today. We have the moon conjunct Mercury in Cancer. It's happening at 7 degrees. That's going to be a very intuitive transit. That's like happening at 1 like 30 a.m. in the morning. So you may find that as you are sleeping, some downloads are coming in. You also may find that you are too distracted to sleep as messages are coming through. Take it easy on yourself, but very intuitive transit. Moon will conjunct Mars at 13 degrees. Now, this moon conjunct Mars at 13 degrees also has Mars and the moon squaring Jupiter. So this is one of those stormy energies, potentially. Okay, 13 degrees. We know this degree. I talk about it all the time. We have been working with this degree. Revolution, evolution. This is Uranus energy. This is a degree of shift. Revolution, evolution energies can bring up triggers. So you may find yourself with this connection, with this Mars energy, feeling poked. That moon conjunct Mars may bring up feelings where you have felt poked before, where your inner child felt poked, where you had triggers as a child. There's potential temper tantrum moments in and through this energy. You may also feel that I want what I want and I want it now feeling coming up very strongly. I feel that with that. Both the moon and Mars squaring Jupiter. Because Jupiter in Libra is promising all this goodness, all this harmony, all these benefits for your self-love process, as it's now direct in Libra. And Mars is like, but I want it now. I have waited long enough. So you may find any of the tantrums, any of the triggers coming up in you related around that. How do you tend to your inner child about that? I'm not going to tell you what to do. Although I think, again, I would go back to the 5 senses, or I'd even go into what Deepak Chopra says. He says that stress happens, which I think impatience is a major stressor on us. Stress happens when our basic needs aren't being met. So what can you do for yourself? How can you offer yourself self-love at this time? How can you take that energy away from the aggression of like, it's not coming fast enough, I'm not getting what I want? Can you see like how this happens in my life? How can you move it from that into, I'm going to feed into something positive right now. I'm going to move into something that helps my passion rise, that brings the self-love in my life for me to the surface. So I was listening to Abraham before this, and they were talking to me. They were specifically talking to me because several times during it they said, me. I'm like, I'm listening. And this girl on there was like, Abraham, I do a lot of work on myself. She's like, well, that's your problem. We want you to stop doing lots of work on yourself and start doing lots of play on yourself. And I really do feel that with this moon, Mars, Jupiter energy. Can you feed this energy into something that is play for you instead of freaking out that this thing is not going to start yet? It's like waiting for a movie. Or a TV show to come on or whatever. We're spoiled because we can watch it all on Netflix immediately, but there still are times in life when we have to wait. But when you're waiting, you can make it fun. You don't have to concentrate on, I do not have this thing I want. I do not have this thing I want. How do you find the play in this moment now? How do you find the joy in this moment now? This will help shift you out of any of that temper tantrum energy that you may be having. So again, that's Moon, Mars, and Jupiter. And that Jupiter energy may expand this energy. So you may be shocked to find yourself on the floor having a temper tantrum about this. And be like, where did that come from? Well, that's energy that's been within. And that's one way we explore our volcanoes. So it's not a bad thing, but how many of us want to actually stay on the floor kicking and screaming because we're not getting the thing we want? I'd rather play. I'd rather find something enjoyable. So nurturing yourself will bring you into expansion mode. And before you know it, that thing will come. Oh, look what I have here. Postponement. It's just not yet. It's coming. It's just not yet. It's just coming slowly. because patience, but it doesn't have to be about the patience either. That's another thing I've really explored with Abraham. If you're like, I have to be patient, you're focusing on the wrong thing. Focus on what's going to be fun right now. What can I do right now to lighten my load, to lighten my life? Focus on that. All right, so Moon will conjunct Mars. The moon will square Jupiter, so we took care of all that together. The moon will then trine Neptune. So here we have, this is kind of like, okay, let's bring in a little bit of ease. Let's bring in a little imagination. Let's bring in a little creativity coming through. You may get messages, downloads at that time that's like, hey, it's all working out for you. Chill, be easy about it. And again, Find something to put your flow into now. Like, okay, so let's go back to the surfing analogy. You know, you're sitting out there, you're waiting for the next wave to come. So are you like, oh, the wave's not coming, the wave's not coming? Or are you enjoying the atmosphere that's around you? Or are you enjoying the pelicans flying overhead and the dolphin just swam by? What is in your immediate surrounding that is showing you how connected you are? Because I believe that moon trine Neptune energy is trying to show us at this time how connected we are. So pay attention to the signs. The signs are out there. All right. Next connection. What's going on today? We have the moon opposite Pluto. So we haven't actually talked about the first Pluto energy, so I'm actually going to talk about the first Pluto energy because these all kind of go together too. We have Venus trine Pluto, so Venus in Taurus trine Pluto in Capricorn. Then we have the moon in Cancer opposite Capricorn, or opposite Pluto in Capricorn. And then we're going to have the moon sextile Venus in Taurus. So, two earth energies and some water. So we've got a little mud in this. That's okay. So Venus and Pluto. Venus and Pluto, this again is going back into the self-worth thing. Pluto, remember, is that planet ultimately of power, the shadow and the light. So what we're working with this is, can you feed this power back into your self-process? And I gotta say, I have overall some cards of like being really present with yourself today, aloneness, and my yantra card is actually, it's the Saturn card, but it says, the first line is, take some time alone today. And so, to me, this is like, do not look for love in the wrong places. Do not look for your structure of self-worth or your structure of enjoyment, pleasure, any of those things in somebody else today. Set this structure of, I know how to take care of myself. I know how to show up for myself. I know how to nurture myself. And let that be the foundation. This connection between Venus and Pluto is at 18 degrees, and the moon and Pluto is 18 degrees. There's that 9, that's that Mars energy again, which is feeding into your passion. So it may be about going out into nature, and again, enjoying nature by yourself, but not relying on somebody else. And I'm not saying, like, if you have a friend coming over, or you already have plans, awesome, enjoy that. However, if you do have one of those solitary days planned, see how you can fulfill yourself. I think that one of our how do I say this? One of our biggest things that we can conquer within ourselves is that energy of loneliness and handing out our power because we're lonely. And so this is an opportunity to be like, oh wait, I'm not lonely. I got my peeps. I got all my energies that are with me. What should we do? I love Tosha Silver. She talks about taking herself on, like, I don't know what she calls them, but universe dates, where the universe kind of takes her, tells her where to go. She has no idea, no agenda, and ends up in these magical situations. Today could be a good day for one of those, potentially. So that moon feeding in, though, with this energy is like, again, nurture yourself. Show up for yourself. The final aspect of the day is that Mars square Jupiter energy, which will be building all through the day because that's actually happening at 11. So you may find the up and down through the day where you're like, okay, I found bliss again. It's like, but this thing isn't coming. Okay, I found my bliss again. This thing isn't coming. Anytime there's a square, it's resistance. So just keep moving through the resistance. Remember the lessons of yesterday with this new moon energy. Be the cooperative component. Seek for your alignment. And it's going to be easier to seek for your alignment if you are just hanging out, being with yourself. Take some time alone today. Be silent. Clear the clutter. Clear your mind. That could be a great process with Cancer, because Cancer is the home energy. So changing around your home, that's one of the things I like to do too, is move things around, redecorate. You may see a whole different thing next time I record, because I very well may do that. That being said, the things that you wish for are coming. These are both 2 Pentacles cards, so they're not here yet. These gifts, the We Are the World, which is the 10 of Pentacles, amazing things on its way, it's just not here yet. You've got to give everything the time that it needs to bloom. So what are you going to do with this sweet moment where that thing's not here yet? What are you going to do with it? It's up to you, and you are empowered to do something that will empower you. You're empowered to do something that's going to feel good to you. final card, I decided to pull the Keepers of the Light because I was like, man, this is some tough energy after the new moon. Don't dig up your seeds, by the way. Do not dig up your seeds out of impatience. I think that's one of the biggest things, that we go through these cycles because we don't get what we want when we want it. We dig up the seeds and you're like, why are you not growing? And the seed's like, you just put me in the dirt. Like, can you just put me back, give me some water, and chill out? So don't dig up the seeds because the impatience that comes over you today. One other thing that I want to mention before I give you the Keeper of the Light is that Mars-Jupiter square. Mars energy in Cancer, all this Cancer energy, and then Jupiter bringing the expansion, you may find yourself going overboard and trying to find the pleasure. Find the pleasure in simple things, not in things that you can overdose on, such as Doritos. I'm not saying don't eat Doritos, but like, watch that energy, because you may try to distract yourself so much. And distract isn't really the word, it's realign. Don't distract, realign. But if you find yourself like the Awkward Yeti picture that I posted the other day, where tongue and brain were like, let's just keep seeing what happens with like putting the food in. If you find yourself in that situation with anything, notice you may be avoiding something, and there may be something to look at. And this is part of the power, is surfing the waves and being present with it. So I hope you understand the balance in finding your harmony in and through this energy. So, final card, Buddha, Master Buddha, increased awareness, deep connection, trust your inner voice. Tuning into you is going to be the way through this energy. This is a lot. It's a lot. Like, man, Cancer's gonna put us through some of our, some lessons, which is good. We all could use some lessons. But remember the Abraham thing. Do a lot of your play. Keep finding a way to lighten your day as you move through this energy. That being said, I still have my reading sale going on, $44 for half an hour. Go find that at GaiaBlooming.com. And I will see you tomorrow. Namaste.